So last time we started building a miniature backyard, and you might be thinking, wow, it's pretty sparse. I really hope we're doing gardens today. And I agree, it is pretty sparse, but you know what's more important than gardens? Lawn games. So that is what we're gonna be building today. So I don't know about you guys, but when I think lawn games, I think the beanbag toss game and croquet. So we're gonna start with the beanbag toss. So I'm just measuring it out now. We're doing 1 inch by 2 inches. So it's gonna be a pretty small game. So one of the good and bad things about balsa wood, it's super soft, so it's really easy to cut with an X-Acto knife, but it is also really easy to dent, which you can see the edge along the bottom of the cut is a little broken up, and especially here when I'm trying to cut them out the circles, I am kind of denting the edges a little as I'm cutting it out, so that's just something to keep in mind while you're working with balsa wood. So I was able to sand around the edges of the hole to make it a little bit more smooth. So now we can get started on the frame. I'm just again building a set of coffee stirrers. Like when I bought these, I didn't realize like how incredibly useful they would be. I've used them in like every project since buying them. So for this long side, I am cutting the end at a taper because the board will have to sit at an angle. If you've never played this game before, basically the premise is you're throwing beanbags at this board and trying to get them into the hole, but the board is at an angle so the beanbags will slide. So preferably you're trying to aim the beanbag above the hole so it will slide in. I hope that made sense, but anyways, back to our build. But here I am just gluing on the frame. Now I'm just measuring out the back legs. I just cut these at 1 centimeter because I didn't really need them sticking up that far. There we go. This is what our little boards are looking like. As you can see, that one edge is kind of beaten up. And as I was looking at these, I was like, oh, these are really small. Like in comparison to our chairs, I'm like, oh, this is not an appropriate size. So I did make a bigger one. I just added a 1/2 inch to the width and then 1/2 inch to the length, and I think it's more appropriate. So now it is time to paint them. I was trying to figure out what design I wanted to go for, and then I remembered how soft this balsa wood is. I didn't really want to risk kind of peeling this masking tape on and off a couple times. So I'm just doing a triangle from the top edge down to the center, and then we're just going to paint in that triangle. And I'm just going to paint it in this like light blue kind of color. I just feel like that is going to look so freaking cute. Now onto my favorite part, peeling off the masking tape. Like, ooh, look how crisp those lines are. Now the final step is we're just going to brush them down with some Mod Podge. I'm not doing the shiny one, I'm just doing the matte Mod Podge. This is just going to help like seal everything in, especially the paint. I don't want it chipping. And here is what our little game is looking like. I think it turned out so good. I'm so excited. Now we can start making the croquet set. So I have these old chopsticks and I saw this design at the back of it and I was like, these are going to be absolutely perfect to make the mallets out of. So I am just measuring these out now. They're about 1 centimeter long or wide, and I'm just cutting them with an old set of pruners. I will fully admit I tried a couple different ways to cut these down, and this was definitely the best option. Here's what they're going to kind of look like, but first we need to sand these guys down. They are a little rough where I cut them. Now I'm just measuring out the handles of the mallets. I decided to just do 4 centimeters because I think that's a pretty good size. Again, we're just sanding on the edges. That pruner cuts well, but it just doesn't cut cleanly. So now it's time to glue them together. I'm just going to do a dot of the wood glue on the mallet and then stick on the handle. So this did take a few minutes to dry, but I kind of just sat here holding it in place till it did. And here are what our little mallets look like. So now it's time to paint them. I'm just going to do a variety of colors like red, yellow, blue, purple, and we're just going to do lines across the bottom of the mallet. So I wish I had an even skinnier paintbrush to get really clean lines. I mean, I could have used masking tape, but I feel like they still turned out pretty good. So this time I'm going to use the glossy Mod Podge to seal everything in. I feel like it'd look nice to have a little bit of a shine. So while the mallets are drying, I'm just going to get started on the balls. These ones I'm just making out of polymer clay, and I'm having the balls be in the corresponding colors to the mallets because I feel like that's super cute. So now we can pop them in the oven to bake, and while they're baking, we can get started on the little hoops. So I'm just making these out of floral wire, and they're super easy to make because pretty much all you're doing is making a little hoop. So there we go. There's our little hoops. Now I gotta make a storage box for them. I'm just gonna use some of my old scraps that I've been like hoarding to make the little box. So I figured one side can be a storage area for the hoops, and the other side I'm gonna make little boxes for the different balls. Now, did I need to do this? Probably not, but I had time while I was waiting for the little balls to finish baking. Okay, so now that they're finished being baked, here's what they look like. They were a little warm still, so I ended up dropping them. But once they finished cooling, I just coated them with some glaze so they had that nice shiny look to them. And here's what it looks like all together. You can't tell me that this isn't the cutest thing in the entire world. This little storage bin, adorable. Now, I'm not really sure how our slug family is going to play croquet, seeing as they don't have arms to swing the mallet, but like, I guess they can roll the balls with their bodies. But here is what the final look. I think this is so cute. Like, this is the cutest thing I've ever made. But thank you guys so much for joining me. Next time we're going to get started on those gardens. I've just been procrastinating with them. But I will see you then.